Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tennessee Twos Discgolf Podcast. My name is Daniel. Across from me is my co-host Ethan, and we did it. We hit a live button.
Yeah,
Last week didn't go so hot for us, and we had we had to make a decision, and that was: do we try to figure out how to continue working on a platform that didn't seem to want to support us as much as we really hoped? And the answer ended up being no. So lo and behold, here we are on YouTube.
on the
And I
tubes.
have to say, one of the things I was most excited for that I totally forgot about just because I happened to pull up a YouTube live video a couple of days ago was that you can actually scrub back to the beginning on YouTube,
Yeah,
where other
that's
live
pretty
videos don't
nice.
let you do that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty
YouTube
excited to
seems to
be
have
here.
it figured out.
Um, for anybody who is a regular listener on Facebook, first thing I want to say before we get any farther is thank you so much for the support that you showed for us on Facebook while we were doing this podcast live. Um, Honestly, Facebook really gave us an awesome start and a really easy ability for us to grow this podcast right up and in the very beginning, and do a lot of really cool stuff while still doing live and not having a whole lot of competition. And you know it's a little bit sad to depart from something that we spent a whole year doing last year basically with Facebook, but I'm pretty excited for this new chapter. How about you?
Yeah, I really am. Um, we would probably still be with Facebook if their um, I guess dashboard that they send into Stream Elements or any kind of streaming software was a little bit more manageable. Or if it worked half of the time, we would be a
Yeah,
little bit better off. Um, but constantly having to see chat on the phone and uh, it just never quite worked out. Um, Now YouTube might be a little bit of a growing pain. We are fully aware of that, and we know that we will have to broaden this, a little better, get it into the eyes of more people. But that's okay, and we are
absolutely.
ready to do so. Um, so my question to you is, since it is our first YouTube live video, um,
Yeah.
what would be? I know we're getting a little bit off topics right offhand. Um,
I'm telling you,
what?
we're gonna add that counter to the screen
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Some point in time this season we're gonna have a one-off counter just to see how many times we get off topic in episode.
right. Well, that's gonna happen a lot. Um, what would be your say in uh like having notifications on off, so to speak, because I don't know because we haven't got a notification yet if it's gonna like blare out at us because that is a very high possibility. I do not know. Um, all right.
You know what?
You know
Listen,
what?
the first technical difficulty of this episode wasn't even electronic, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So that Simon's
That
Dot
was-
Tilt is not mint anymore.
it's not. It can't be there any longer. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm talking about mint condition because it hit the floor. But yeah.
Uh,
So just to
it's
be
okay.
aware, to let everyone be aware that if you hear something loud, it is a notification, and I do apologize. I will get it fixed if it does happen. Um, but
Yeah, I
until
would
then,
say
yeah,
if you're asking me and not just the listeners,
both.
um,
But
I would say, I mean, banners are cool. I'm fine with banners depending on what they are and how often they pop up, but probably should keep the sounds to a minimum. Don't want
yes,
to flood our sounds too much for our audio listeners. By the way, if you guys are listening on audio right now, for the foreseeable future, the plan is to be going live on YouTube. Uh, you'll double check our socials. We'll actually post a link to the primary channel that this will be going live on every week. Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time is what we're thinking about right now. Um, Kind of the idea is to get it late enough that people who want to hop in on live on the West Coast are hopefully close to or already off work. but not too late for those of us here on the Eastern time zone.
Right. I think this time works out well for both of us as well.
Yes.
Um, that that's a huge help. Um, so yeah, want to go ahead and get into our presenting sponsor?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's hop in
As
the show.
most of you know already, it is Lone Star Disc. Um, they are a family-owned and operated disc golf manufacturer located in Conroe, Texas. They pride themselves on being the only disc golf manufacturer that currently produces, stamps, and ships its own product directly from Texas. Their main focus is to provide consistent and high quality discs to golfers all over the world. Also, they just had a release on February 4th. It was 3 days ago. So definitely get your hands on those. The Frio and the Goon.
Seguin.
Sagine. I have to put the Goon in it, but it's fine. Um, I know Josh was making fun of us. I thought that was good. He said good job though. He said good job.
Yeah,
Um,
6 to 1, half dozen the other. All right.
yeah, exactly. So let's see here. Where to streams? Okay, thank you for that. Um, also, if you want to pick up any merch from Lone Star, just like my hat, his hoodie, check them out over at LoneStarDisc.com, and let's get on with it. What do you think?
Yeah, let's give it a go. You see if you can pump that mixer volume up a little bit.
Yes.
For any of our audio listeners, please be warned if you have it turned up really loud right now, we're going to pump up the audio for the live stream real quick. So you might need to turn it down a little bit. Fair warning. With that
Okay.
being said, the first thing we're going to do when we start today is to talk about our 2022 awards. Of course, we planned on doing that a long time ago, as you guys know, but we ended up taking a little bit of a sabbatical for both of us to kind of refresh. Had a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to get to that now. And then we're also going to go ahead and get through our 2023 award predictions. We do have 5 awards that we're going to be giving out today. Of course, MVP, most improved is going to be one of them. The comeback player of the year is going to be one of them. We are also going to be giving out an award for, best off the tee, which we're going to call the Hawkeye Award. And then we're going to have a best putter award, which we're calling the Dead Shot Award. Um,
Yeah, cool names.
it
Let's
just,
go.
it just can't stop this stuff from happening. I'm having notifications pop up on my side now saying stuff's wrong. Of course.
You know.
It is never ending. But bear with us, guys. Like we said, the first time that we're live broadcasting on YouTube, part of the reason we didn't blast this out on our socials and let everybody know is we wanted to test run this a little bit. So for our audio listeners, I apologize. Bear with us. We should be a little bit closer back to normalcy starting next week. So give us a little bit of a break. Anyways, yeah, MVP awards. I don't think there's really a question that we need on either MPO or FPO. Would you say?
Yeah, no. Pretty cut and dry. Um, I'll let you take MPO. I'll take FPO. I'm pretty sure we're gonna agree.
Yeah. So I mean, unquestionably, MPO was Ricky Wysocki. If you looked at mid-season, that would have been a very questionable concept. Is he? Isn't he? He didn't really take down any majors. He was kind of struggling. He had some injury problems. The new bag was definitely putting him in for a run. But down the stretch, he definitely was the best player over the course of the last 3 months of the season. Pretty much hands down. Ended up taking out the most Elite Series wins and then the Tour Series championship after that. So unquestionably, Ricky Wysocki was the MVP of 2022.
Right. Um, and I feel like there was a couple that were in the ballpark. Um, but I agree. I think Ricky ended up with MVP, and one of the
Excuse
others.
you, dynamic.
Ah, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Don't worry, the other guy I'm talking about is is later on down the board.
What about FPO?
Kristen. Um, I I don't even have to name out her measurables. Never placing below the podium in any Elite Series or Silver Series event. Multiple wins and World Championship. So yeah,
Right.
Kristen Tatar for me is the FPO MVP.
Most improved. Um, Look, I mean, you could make some debates for a lot of players, but I think this one's pretty cut and dry on the MPO side as well. Um, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I would have to say it has to be Gannon Burr. Um, I mean, you're talking about a player that essentially never finished
Right.
outside the top 10.
Yeah.
He had the highest average finish, or the lowest average finish, depending on how you're talking about it. But he had the best average finish in MPO all of last year. Now he only took down a couple of events, one of them being silver, but the other one was a major, and that was pretty massive. And that combined with the fact that he basically was never out of contention is
Right.
impressive. And it's kind of weird thinking like, oh, the rookie of the year is the next most improved, but his sophomore season was undeniable.
Yeah. It was really good. And I wouldn't doubt to continue to see him improve, honestly.
Yep.
Um, I agree with that on MPO. FPO, I'm going. This one, I feel like you may not agree with me here, but I'm going with um, Valerie Mondahano. Um,
100%. It's no question in my mind on that one either.
yeah, she uh, she kind of came out to her own, come into her own. Um,
She filled her shoes.
yeah, exactly, and yeah, and it was pretty consistent throughout the whole year. So I really thought that she deserved this one. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm honestly kind of worried and surprised that we've agreed on all of these, but most of them are cut and dry.
Yeah, I think you're going to be a little more cut and dry this year, probably until we get to that last award. FPO for the next award might be a little bit of something we might have to debate.
Right,
We'll see. But let's start with MPO because I think that one's pretty undeniable as well, being Simon Lizotte as the comeback player of the year. And for anybody who might be listening and be like, well, I mean, what's the difference between comeback player of the year and most improved? Well, comeback player of the year kind of is more directed towards somebody who was relevant and stopped being relevant for a while and became relevant again. And so you could definitely make an argument that Simon Lizotte deserves the most improved award as well. However, I mean, you're talking about somebody who was, the best European player for a very, very long time, extremely competitive on the American side as well for a very long time. Had a few injuries, really struggled for a couple of years. He even said it himself, like, "Hey, I don't know if playing professional disc golf is going to work out for me much longer." And he was looking at other avenues and routes and what he might do with the YouTube and this, that, and the other. And instead, he just came out and exploded for
right.
2022. So, yeah, I think that's just. I mean, what do you say?
I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's undeniable. I mean,
I,
to get four
there's
Elite Elite Series wins. I'm struggling tonight, evidently. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no really competition in my eyes.
I mean, when push comes to shove, you're really, really talking about somebody who was not only an obvious comeback player of the year, but you're also talking about somebody who was thoroughly in contention for being the player of the year or MVP, probably up until the point where Ricky really did, kind of cap off the Pro Tour championship.
Right,
If Ricky doesn't win, I know it was 5 wins to four, but arguably those four from Simon were more impressive, all things considered. Um, you could have seen a different MVP if he doesn't win the Pro Tour championship.
right.
So, what about FPO though.
So mine's probably different, but I picked Sarah Hokum. Um, she
Okay.
so a few years back, she was in contention all the time, and
Yes.
last year she kind of dropped off a little bit. Um, New tour rig. Um, she just never really got into the top 5 much. Um, and then
No, when she did get there, she didn't seem to be able to hold on to it.
right, and this past year, she was a little bit more consistent. She got into the top 5. She was competing for wins throughout the year sometimes, especially when we get closer to the Northeast swing. Um,
Yeah.
I think that she proved to be a comeback player of the year. I think she definitely improved from her downfall of the season before. So that is my pick for the comeback FPO of the year.
Yeah, I'd have to say like I don't know that I just really have anybody else to put in that category. You could make like an argument maybe for like Henna Blomroos,
Right.
but
It's
it's really hard to like categorize the European players in this award right now
yes.
because it was their first full return to tour.
Right.
And we know she was relevant and chasing a lot of wins, but the last time we saw her on the American side, so you could make an argument for her, but I would agree with Sarah Hokum as well. I think that's a fine enough pick.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
Uh,
the Hawkeye Award, the deadliest sharpshooter from long distance, i.e., who's best off the tee. Who
Um.
do you got from MPO?
So for me, um, it was it was Simon again. Um, he just had a lights out year this past year, in my opinion.
Yep.
Um, his his whole game was good, to be honest. Um, there's really not much else to say. There was several people that I could have chose, I feel like, but I tried to stay away from stats truly and
Yeah.
trying to go by the eye test because this is like my personal opinion of an award. So with
Right.
me watching throughout the season, that I would probably say Simon.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I'm not going to actually take him for my pick. I'm going to go with Calvin Heimberg.
Hmm,
Um, you could make an argument for Ricky Wysocki as well. However, I'm
that's who
gonna
I was
just
thinking.
I don't want to double up on awards for this, even though that is definitely a totally viable choice. But I felt like Calvin probably is one of the best in the game at giving himself looks from circle one and circle two.
Right,
In terms of the top names on the tour that are really putting themselves in circle one and circle two consistently, it's Calvin Heimberg. And the fact that he was placing as well as he did as often as he was when his scramble rate was honestly considerably lower than a lot of
right,
players really tells you that he was giving himself really good opportunities to still get birdies fairly often.
right.
So that's gonna be mine. Um, what about FPO?
Um, so for FPO, um, weird. Sorry.
So many, all the weird things.
Yeah. Um, for FPO, uh, I would probably say that who who I had was a double pick. Um, but if you're not wanting to do doubles, which I'm fine with, um, I can go back and change my Hawkeye pick as well. But for now on FPO,
I
for
mean, yeah.
yeah, right.
So this is the Hawkeye Award.
Well, yeah, I was talking about for
Oh,
MPO.
sorry.
If you wanted me to change it, that way it's not doubled
No,
up.
no, no, no.
So for FPO, um, it was Evelina, in my opinion. Evelina Salonen. She was arguably the best driver on the season.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna stop you right there, and you can go ahead and take the word arguably out.
Okay.
But she was
Yeah.
the best off the tee. Some of this is a lot of how we feel about this. Some of this is stats being
Yeah.
supportive and so on and so forth. This is one where it's clear cut. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts. She had the best fairway hit percentage in FPO. She had the best circle ones in regulation and the best circle twos in regulation by a fairly sizable margin in all
Mhm.
three of them, considering the fact that Kristen Tatar was as deadly as she was
Exactly.
off the tee this year. Evelina Solonen actually beat her in all three of those categories, so it's pretty easy for me to just cut and dry. I mean, you're talking about somebody who putted 52% in Circle 1X and putted 8% in Circle 2, comparatively to all of the best players are putting double-digit percentages and up
Yeah.
near the 75 percentile in Circle 1X. So you're talking about somebody who, if she had some confidence putting, she would have been in contention for every win this year along with Kristen.
Right.
That's how deadly she was off the tee.
Yeah.
All right, the Deadshot Award, the best putter of the year.
Um. So for MPO, in my opinion, I'm going to give it my award to Ricky Wysocki. Um.
Fair enough.
it's so hard to not double dip. It really
It
is,
really is.
especially when the people um like stand out the most. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
but just so it's out there, that was Ricky Wysocki. Um, but I think Paul was a very close second.
Yeah. So I would say if you want to look for somebody who is constantly in contention and you want them to have been somebody who was in contention. So let's say you talk about like pitching awards in baseball. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're a pitcher and you're trying to get Cy Young, a lot of times you get counted out in Cy Young if your team wasn't in contention.
Yeah.
It's great that you had a 2.0 ERA, but your team also went 50 and 110.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's great. So if you're going with somebody who is in contention, it has to be Paul McBeth. Um he was, a few percentile above Ricky in both C1 and C2 this season. And if you take out maybe the first four Elite Series events on Ricky's stat line, it's probably a little bit closer because he left a lot of putts short in the early season,
Yeah.
adjusting back to those daggers. However, I don't really care about how well they did in this season. So Andrew Marwood was the best putter this season, and it's kind of it's not really all that close. He was um, second among all contestants in Circle Two, and that includes a player that really didn't play a lot of events. He played the quote unquote minimum holes to be considered as a stat,
Right.
but you wouldn't have. I mean, come on. When was the last time you heard somebody say Cameron Messerschmidt?
Yeah.
Right, and then on top of that, he was 2% better than everybody else in Circle One. I mean, you're talking about somebody who, if he was hitting Circle Ones or Circle Twos in regulation the same as other players were last season, then he would have been up there with Simon Rickey competing for an MVP award.
Right.
So, hands down, Andrew Marwood was the best putter last year.
Right. And I remember seeing the post. Yeah, hands down.
Yes, hands down. I think that comment came in chat when we were talking about Evelina
Oh yeah.
for that Hawkeye award. I don't know if you guys like those names. Let me know. I thought Hawkeye and Deadshot for long distance, basically long range throwing and putting awards. Or if you guys have a recommendation, what should we call them? Something else? I don't really know. Um, man, This is just one of those moments where I can feel that I've been out of the podcast game for a few months. Like we took a break, and you can tell we are just sloppy.
Oh yeah.
And I love it, but it's also a little uncomfortable.
Hey, the only way the only way to get comfortable is to be uncomfortable.
Hey, you gotta take the training wheels off eventually, right?
Right. You can't have an epic
Yes.
comeback without being behind first.
That's very true.
Right?
That is very true. James Conrad knows a lot about that.
Your puns. Your puns tonight. You're right.
Well, it's just a fact.
I mean, you're not wrong. That was an epic comeback. Um,
What about
one of the probably most epic of all time, to be honest with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is immortalized in disc golf history
Yeah, there's
is
people that
no
don't even know
question.
what disc golf is that know that shot.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. I think that actually ended up at number 2 or number 1 on ESPN Top 10
If it didn't get
that
number one, I'm
week.
upset. It
I
just
don't remember.
there's
I
there's
know it
no
was
slam
number 2
dunk
or
that would
1.
have ever topped that. I'm just telling you right now. I've seen them all. Seen them all.
I've seen each of the every dunk of slams,
Yeah.
and none of them compare
Wow, you put your
to
elbow in
that
it.
shot.
Cool. Wish I was tall.
It's called a honey dip, okay?
Honeydew, honey dip,
Honey, whatever. It wasn't James Conrad. That's
honeybee.
all I know.
Exactly. It wasn't disc golf Jesus.
Hey, oh, this is really exciting. One of our regular listeners have hopped in. Johnny, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it is a little different being on YouTube. This is very new for us.
It is.
So yeah, this is very dry run for us. Hopefully we'll blast out this channel a little more going forward next week. But I'm excited to be here. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
about you.
I'm
Always happy.
I'm beyond excited. Um
That's
um
what about predictions?
yeah, let's get right into
Who's gonna
them.
win these awards next year?
So, I took the lead on most of these um through the 2022. So, I'm going to let you take the lead on most of these through
All
2023
right.
predictions.
So predictions are harder. There's so much more gut feeling
I have
in
those.
in predictions, and
I
both of
have
us have.
guts.
You're not wrong.
Was
You
that a
are
fat
not
joke?
wrong. Well, I don't know that's a fat joke, but it's definitely a good joke about somebody who eats Taco Bell a lot.
I do like my Mexican pizzas, okay?
Oh my gosh. Did you eat like 7 in a row the day they came back?
I've never stopped.
I'm pretty
I
sure
just got
like
Mexican pizzas on deck.
like
No.
my wife is not crazy about like general like fast foods, but I swear she might have gone to Taco Bell every day for a week when the Mexican pizza came
Oh,
back.
I did. I mean, it's literally the closest thing to my work. So Mexican pizzas it was for literally, I don't know, the past 2 months. As I scratch my
I'm
neck with withdrawals, it's fine.
gotta get my Mexican pizza.
Yeah,
All right. Should we start from the backside and go up? Start with the Deadshot
I
Award
like
and work
that.
our way
I
to the
like that.
MVP.
Yeah, let's
I
do
like that
that.
too.
Yeah.
Let's start like that. So, award predictions for the 2023 season. Let's start with the Deadshot Award, the best putter. Um, I think I'm gonna go uh, with Ricky Wysocki, and for the reason that I explained why he would have been if you took out a few events from last season. I don't think you're going to see him out at LVC missing 5 or 10 shots this first round on coverage short.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen. I think that you're talking about something that's going to fall 90% of the time for him, like it was towards the end of last year. I know he's been on all kinds of vacations this off season, and
Yeah.
he should come back in
He's living life.
and be refreshed and be ready to rumble. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I think he's got something good going,
Yeah.
especially with the putting stroke.
Yeah. I agree with that. Um, I would say that uh, my dead shot is going to be Corey Ellis. Uh, I think that he's going to regain his title, regain that putting title. I'm calling it
Yeah,
right now. Um, Corey Ellis is very sneakily under the radar. Um, yeah. Um,
My wife's in chat. She's not happy. I called her out on the Mexican pizza.
don't worry, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
I don't even like the Mexican pizza, man. It didn't make a difference for me.
You know what? You're not of this world. Just go on somewhere, you alien.
It's it's the tomatoes, man. I
But get
just
it without tomatoes.
you're right. You're right. But
I know.
every like 90% of the time, like I order crunch wraps all the time, and I
I
always
don't
order them without tomatoes. And
don't. I
90% of the time,
literally
I get
don't
them
need
with tomatoes.
excuses. Just do it.
You know what? You know what?
Just do
No,
it.
no. I'm trying to eat better.
Mexican it doesn't get better.
Healthier. How about that?
Oh well.
Interestingly, I did actually watch a YouTube documentary not too long ago about how
Where's that clicker counter at?
YouTube. Uh, apparently, Taco Bell is actually by like food numbers, um, is the healthiest fast food there is. That's not a joke. In terms of a large chain fast food restaurant,
That's crazy. There's
it's
no way.
actually the healthiest by sodium count, protein count, carbs, fats, all of it. It's healthier than any other fast food restaurant right now.
That is absurd. I I don't know what to say right now. It feels like I won an award for eating healthy.
You want to eat healthy fast food? Taco Bell.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man. Okay. I don't. Did I say who I was? I was Corey Ellis. Oh
Corey
yes.
Ellis.
Yeah. Okay. We
Corey
didn't
Ellis
even
is a
make
is
it
it?
through the first award. I almost said Calvin Heimberg because we was talking about pizza. Put the pizza
Yeah.
in the oven.
What are we up to
Put
now?
the pizza in the
5 side
oven.
notes on this episode.
5. More like
I don't know.
15.
Okay. Listen, chat.
Oh, I thought
Listen.
you was gonna call me Linda. I was about to say Linda. All right.
Uh, yeah. So to echo the Corey Ellis thing, I do have to say, like, we did award him the best putter for 2021, and I was pretty on board with the concept that he would end up being the best putter again this year. And that it was really about how well he played on the fairways as to how well he would do. Well, we saw a slight dip in his putting and a huge increase by Andrew Marweed. So don't take too much away from Corey. It wasn't like massive dips in his
Oh
putting
no.
numbers,
No.
but his
But he's
fairway
coming
numbers were
back
very
for
good.
his title. You
Oh,
watch.
he did not. I swear the 2 or 3 times I remember people talking about how Marweed's the best putter on tour right now. Marweed's the best putter on tour right now. Those were like the 2 or 3 events I thoroughly remember Corey Ellis being dead shot on the course.
Right.
He made everything every time.
Yep.
So
Okay.
FPO.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Hey,
I mean, I know who I'm gonna go with.
it's Owen Scoggins for me.
No! You can't
It
do that to
has to
me.
be. It has to be she.
All right,
So
I'm
she
going
has.
first the rest of the time.
So
Not
here's
sure.
what I this is here's the thing about Own. She had the best circle one percentage all of last season, by 5%, I might add. And then on top of that, she had the best circle two statistically by like what was it? Almost 10%.
Huh?
And it was over 10% if you take away any name that wasn't in contention.
Eh.
I mean,
You know.
it really she should have won the putting award for last year, but we went a little more with our hearts than with the
Yeah.
stats that time around.
Yeah. She was
What,
there. She was there.
but you have to think of when we talk about what Gannon Burr did and how he was always in contention. It was like he was always top five, top five, top five, top
That was
10, top
owned
five.
this year.
Owen Scoggins did that in FPO this year, and she did it because of her putting,
Yeah.
and it's very clear cut that is why she was always in contention is because she was the
Mhm.
best putter.
All right. Hawkeye. The circles in regulation. Best off the tee.
Best off the tee. Who's throwing darts out there? You wanted to go first again, so.
Eagle and McMahon.
Oh. I have a really weird love-hate relationship with Eagle right now. It's the
fine.
same love-hate relationship I have in the same scenario.
I'm just gonna call it the Eagle Eye Award. Okay.
There you
because
go.
yep.
Okay, the Eagle Eye. If only if he wins it though.
Only
Then
if
we
he
can
wins
change
it,
the name.
then we'll change the name. Okay.
So I completely agree that is something that could absolutely happen. I have a love-hate relationship with him right now because it's like Simon right now. Okay, Simon could definitely be in contention for another, Player of the Year award. He could also just be non-existent because of the disc switch.
Right.
Okay, and the same thing with Eagle, except not for switching companies, but for completely changing his diet, the injury, the recovery. You know, I think that there's no reason not to pick him, but I'm always scared to pick him right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm never scared.
I'm never scared.
I would say it's a bold
I am what
prediction,
I
but it's
am.
just not.
It's
It's just not. Like I would like to claim that it is, but it's like, oh, you picked the guy that can throw the farthest. Nah. Oh, okay.
well, I mean,
But can he
Bazooka
do
would
that
have something to say about that.
accurately? Who?
Bazooka would have something to say about that.
Nah. Eagle can outthrow
Come on.
him.
Come on, 710 at USDGC on a golf line.
Eagle can do it. He did 728
I,
on a golf line.
yeah, but you're right, but
Okay.
he's also coming off an injury.
Eagle could have
I
been
just-
too. He did his light therapy. Okay.
I'm saying Eagle's coming off the injury, not the Bazooka.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay. You said Eagle could be too, and I got confused.
I thought you
I
were
got
talking about when it happened.
I got
Like-
confuzzled, okay? I'm gonna go a little off the cuff here. I'm gonna give it to Chris Dickerson. And the
Oh, I
reason
like
being
that.
is I really feel like he lost a little bit of his mojo during that long break.
Right?
And
I felt
I've
the
kind of
same way.
noticed I've noticed and just trying to take a break, take the off season in, be together, enjoy it for what it is in preparation of not taking as long of a break this season.
Right.
So I think you're talking about a player that if he doesn't take that long break, probably could have been in contention for this award as well.
Right.
So I think it's a possible option. I definitely see him being viable for this
Right.
pick. Fapo.
I did not know that. Is that
I mentioned it. I mentioned his diet change.
what? Did I just
Yep.
like
Yeah,
phone
his
it
double
out?
his double G series vegan jerky is no longer. I believe the last made was their last run of it. And I believe basically what happened is he really started talking to some dietitians, and it kind of came around to his healing and his injury wasn't coming along the way that he'd hoped it was, and some dietitians probably pointed him in the direction that his diet was
The
a
problem.
factor
Yeah.
in why he wasn't recovering the way he wanted to. Not that he never would recover if he stayed on that
So
diet,
you're
but
telling
it would
me
aid in his recovery.
the Eagle is back on like meat?
Yeah, I don't know what all meats he's eating. I can't. That video where he announced it was so long ago, but I know he was definitely eating fish and chicken. Last time I heard.
Yep. That's well, that changes my
I don't see why. If anything, like that gives.
I'm talking about
Because
MVP.
oh, let's get there later. Let's get there. He needs real proteins. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Proteins are found in plants, but
Ain't the same. Okay.
yeah, it just.
And we're not hating on anybody that is vegan at all.
I mean, strictly speaking, if you think about it from a dietitian standpoint, side note number 37, I think soy is actually the most complete protein on the planet ingestible protein on
Like
the planet.
soy
However,
sauce, soybeans.
soybeans, so just soy in general. However, I believe that the amount that you have to eat it to obtain all of those proteins in a viable number is also going to give you symptoms of estrogen overload.
Oh
So
wow.
there's that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that because I mean, so that's why like soy is no longer a popular milk alternative is because of the high estrogen levels.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Off of that side note,
Yep. I learned something new.
uh,
Thanks for
f-
that,
f-
Johnny.
F- FPO, FPO,
Uh, Hawkeye FPO
Hawkeye.
is gonna be. Hmm. I'm gonna say. I don't want to say that. Er, I'm going to go with. I'm gonna go with Katrina Allen.
Good pick.
Um, I think she had like a little bit of an underwhelming year just in her standards. Um,
Did she have an underwhelming year, or was
eh,
Kristen Tatar just that good
that's what I don't
last year?
really know,
It's so
to
hard to
be
tell.
honest. There,
Kristen Tatar really like just she skewed the numbers last year,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah. It's
Because
hard.
I
It's
mean,
hard
what
to say.
Katrina basically lost to Tatar on two separate occasions by one stroke,
Yeah,
basically. I
but
mean, so yeah, I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
no, and I've always liked her drives, a lot better than her putting, as most people
That's
have.
true.
So
She's she's one of the most comfortable in FPO throwing rollers, which is always really really cool.
yeah, that's nice. Um, so yeah,
Because
I'm pretty
courses are
comfortable
definitely
with
getting longer in FPO as well,
I'm
so
pretty
those rollers
comfortable
really
with
come in handy.
Katrina as a pick. What about you?
Um, I'm gonna kind of go the same route in FPO that I went in MPO and go with Haley King, another player who ended up taking a little bit longer of a sabbatical than I think most of us were expecting.
Right.
Now she came out of her sabbatical really hot and then cooled off, interestingly enough. Um, but she was still basically top five in fairways, circle ones, and circle twos. So with a full season, no more weird like moving stuff. The switch is gone. Um, whatever the wisdom teeth getting pulled, whatever
Yeah.
else that caused her to take that weird long break and miss a couple other
It's so
tournaments late season
hard
as
because
well.
like everybody forgets that she won a major. Like
I don't. I
well, you don't, but like it's like
I
she
think it's just because I'm like a weird Haley King fan. Like she's one of the few players that I feel like I'm always rooting for.
Hellstorm. Um, on Twitch, you just got to plug in. So yeah, I think Haley is a good solid pick. Um, hopefully we do get to see a little bit more of her this year.
Right.
That way we can kind of really see the true testament of it.
Absolutely. All right. Comeback player of the year.
Um,
Mpoo. MPO.
Impo. Yep. My mind went to Teletubbies.
Yes, pretty much. I always call FPO FPO, so I was like, what do I call MPO?
Impo.
Mpoo. I'm sorry,
It's like
guys.
the
I'm
little
so
red
tired right
Teletubby.
now.
What's your name? Umpo.
Mpoo.
Oh God. Um.
I
But
can't
yeah,
stop, won't stop.
yeah. Never undefeated, never lost. All right. So comeback player is Nico LaCastro for me.
Yeah,
Um. I have never found myself rooting for Nico more than I will be this year. Um,
agreed.
and it's not just because of him moving to Lone Star. Um,
But it's a little bit of that.
it is that.
Not just, but
It's
just a
not
little bit.
just. It helps. It definitely helps. But Nico has got an opportunity to show and prove somebody something, right? He's got the opportunity to prove a lot of people something. And I'm rooting for him. I feel like he is in an underdog situation. And I really, really always try to pull for an underdog. I don't know what that is about, but I do. I like underdog stories. Now, I know
Yeah.
he's been great. He's been in relevance, and he is still in relevance, just not for the right things sometimes. Um, so this season, I say that he has the best comeback season and puts himself in relevancy for winning tournaments and being in contention.
All right. All right. I can see that. I'm gonna take just a quick look here
Aluxi?
at one player because I really agree with you on the Nico pick, but I just want to see if this is.
Do, do,
I know, I
do,
know, I
do,
agree, I get it, I get it.
do. I don't want to get
All right,
copyrighted.
this
I'm
might be an
surely I
offhanded
wasn't that
pick.
good.
No, no, this might be an offhanded pick. I'm gonna go with Kevin Jones.
I like that. He was my second pick.
Um, Kevin Jones. I mean, 2020 was really, really good for the shortened season that we had.
Yeah.
Um, 2021, he was in contention a lot. 2022, he sat at 25th for most of the events of the season. It was like,
Yeah.
Kevin Jones, where's he? You're like scrolling down the leaderboard. You're like, Kevin, 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 where are you? 25th.
Right.
Kevin, where are you? 28th. Kevin, where are you? 23rd. It
Yeah.
just, it really felt like he was out of relevancy a little too often last year. And I think he gets that back this year. Maybe he took a little too much time focusing on some of the other aspects of his life, like his music or
Right.
his creator series discs, and maybe forgot to just get out and play some days.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like there was starting to get that fire back towards the end of the season, but it was just kind of like a too little, too late. So I expect him to kind of hit the ground running this year and be relevant again.
I'm with it. I like that pick. Um okay. So now moving on to the FPO. The FPO.
Popo.
Yeah. All right, who you got?
Uh, I really like. I really just want to do like say something kind of stupid. Because I
Okay.
know it's not going to happen. But like what if Heather Young just randomly just hopped back on the tour
That
out
would
of
be
nowhere?
awesome.
There's zero news of that, by the way. Do not take this as information. I know I live fairly close to her. There is no talk around here about whether or not she like it is a conversation about, wow, I haven't seen her in a while. I hope she's doing okay. That's pretty much what our local scene says about her right now.
Right.
Um, but I'm gonna go on the other side and go with the more obvious pick of Kona Panis.
Yeah, that's my pick too.
I don't even think we really need to talk about that one too long.
No.
She underperformed last season, and
Yep.
that's pretty much
After
it.
being very relevant, gaining a lot of traction in both
Yes,
social media world and in the events world.
and
Uh,
contract world.
yeah. So I think she's due.
Yeah. So I for her to get the award that I would call comeback player of the year, I'm gonna say, guys, don't expect her to come out and have like a Christian Tatar season. But expect her to be more competitive on a regular basis and maybe sneak out a couple of wins.
If she could be the own of this next season, that's
That putting
huge.
has to be there though. Ugh.
She's got time. She's had time. So
Yes. Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, she was like, so here's the funny thing is when you talk about players that have a lot of like their bag switches, there's always the question of how comfortable are they with their bag. And eventually, every player that switches bags seemingly hits a point where they start feeling comfortable with their bag. Like I said,
Right.
Ricky Wysocki looked really uncomfortable for a while. Texas State, he pulled everything together.
Yep.
Okay. Um, and there were a few other players that kind of followed that same guideline along with their switches last season. And never once felt like Kona ever figured out her bag.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't expect that to be the case this season. I just don't.
Yeah. I think the sophomore season with Dynamic will be a little better. I think she'll have things figured out. All right. Going on to most improved.
Most improved
Yeah. Who you got for MPO?
for MPO. I don't know who I do. You have one in mind already?
Um. So yeah, I do, but there could be like a stipulation, I guess.
Fair.
Um, because he was relevant, but not to the point of, oh my God, he's top 10 material all the time. You know, so Kyle Klein is is who I'm saying is going to be my most improved. Um, because not only his good season 2 seasons ago,
Mhm.
it was good, but I think he could improve on that a lot, right? And he didn't last year. So I'm saying he's improving overall as a player,
Yeah.
not just from last season.
Yeah, and I fumbled around with Kyle Klein as my second after KJ for comeback player.
Right.
I just wasn't sure how much I wanted to call that sophomore season of his like
Right.
a relevant season versus what
That's
we saw
exactly
last year.
kind of where I felt with it.
So
So,
that's why I ended up going KJ over that.
yeah.
I'm gonna go. s- Some people are gonna look at me and be like, "This is the softest pick of all time." Um, but interestingly enough, when we talked very early in the last season, when we kind of covered the Shelley Sharp Memorial, and we talked about
Anthony Barella. All right, go ahead.
no, actually no, I'm not going to. I think
What?
that the struggle of Anthony Barella already like struggling to meet his ceiling on top of now adding a disc change to it. I think the disc change could help propel him to meeting that ceiling a little bit quicker. But I really think the player that you might see take the next step in their career this year is actually going to be Aaron Gossage. And one of the reasons for that actually is through a couple of videos, I think we saw a little bit of Aaron hanging out with Paul McBeast, a
It
little bit this offseason
it matters. I'm telling you, it
and
matters.
getting a little friendly. And I really like, there were some moments in some of those videos where I kind of felt like Paul kind of had a couple of like take you under my wing kind of moments with Aaron Gossage.
Right.
Um, and I think that we saw a lot of Barella hanging out with Macbeth as well. The difference is that Barella's going to struggle in the early part of the season regardless because of the new bag. He's going to throw stuff that he has no idea what it does at the elevation that he goes to that day. Um, Especially in the early part of the season, Aaron's not going to
Right.
have to struggle with that. Johnny Disc Golf's in chat saying Gannon Burr. Man, I can't award Gannon Burr Most Improved Player after awarding him Most Improved Player for 2022.
That would be impressive, though. Could you imagine if he comes out and has a Simon season with a world uh with a
A
world
world
championship
title or a Champions Cup or a Euro, even it doesn't. It just
or a
any
back-to-back
major,
USDGC?
yeah, or any major that's not USDGC. Really,
Yeah.
like that would be pretty wild. But I don't know, when you had the best average placement of any player in all of disc golf,
Yeah.
the only thing you can get better at that point is actually taking the
The
wins,
wins. Right.
and this is a tough field. So
Oh, it's tough.
it's going to be really hard for him to just outstandingly be the most improved player given what he did last year.
But I am not putting it out of the question, Johnny. Like I seriously, I'm not. Like I
I
I got high hopes for Gannon. I'm telling you.
But so here, answer, riddle me this: if Gannonberg
Riddle.
goes out there and he wins a Silver Series, a Major, and 2 Elite Series, and
That's
has
not
a
most
similar
improved.
average, just listen, and it has a similar average placement, and then Aaron Gossage does this year what Gannonberg did last year, so best average placement in all players, and then a Major and a Silver Series. Who would you consider the most improved?
Right. I mean, yeah.
It's so that he made the gap of
The
what would
gap.
make
Yeah.
him the most improved
The
player
gap.
so tiny as to what he has to do to attain that again. It would be really hard for him. I mean, he would have to do what Ricky did last year, this year, and then add a Major in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Um. So
FPO.
with FPO most improved, um, I'm just gonna go right out and say, Macy Billy Diaz. I truly think that the more that she is on tour, the more that she sees these courses and prepares and kind of understands the preparation now, I feel like
Yes.
she's about to take a huge jump.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm agreeing with you there. She's my pick as well. And it goes back to that conversation that we talked about last week on the
Last
show,
week, yeah.
where I had mentioned the last time I had seen her in person and talked to her a little bit. She admitted that she struggled with how to recoup from event to event and get her mind straight when the last event didn't go so well. How did she mentally prepare for the next event? And she struggled with that. And as the season went on, she learned that she can't hold that previous event over her head as she goes into
Right.
her next event. And that one thing alone is going to be the difference for her. And not only is that going to prepare or propel, would be a better word, propel her to a better average finish this year compared to last year, I think it also means that she ends up with a couple of wins.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, she's already halfway there. Technically, she's taken a 2023 Silver Series event.
Yeah. Technically,
It's a good start.
it is a good start. All right, so that one nailed out pretty easy. Now to the whole shebang.
All of
MVP.
it. Each of the everys.
Each of the everys, many much so. Um, MVP, MPO, go.
A lot of people aren't going to like me for this one. Gannon Burr.
You're,
Because
you're
I
rude.
think Gannon Burr has to do less to be the player of the year than he would have to do to be the most improved player.
Yeah.
Given everything that we talked about and the scenarios that we talked about and what it takes to be most improved, because you could be a very low player and just play exceptionally well and be most improved simply because you went from being an 80th player to a top 20 player. Gannon Burr does not have to do that.
Right.
He is already up in the top 5 right now. And I think that he could sneakily underhand Ricky and Paul for a most valuable player.
Yeah. I Gandon is the only one that is competing with my pick. In my personal opinion. And that's Eagle. So I see Eagle coming back in full fashion, especially now.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing, and one of the things I want to say about Eagle, um, is if he is not in MVP contention this year, I think he 100% is a top 3 candidate for MVP in 2024,
Yeah.
assuming we see a progression with his injury similar to Simon. But the thing is that Eagle was already in 2021 learning how to play disc golf by backing off and throwing the best shot, not just the wildest shot.
Yeah. I know.
So I think that because of that, you might actually see the progression move forward a little bit quicker than what we saw with Simon, where Simon really tried to fight through his injury to be who he was before.
Right.
And 2022 is when he accepted that he will never be that player again. And I think Eagle, not only number one, having Simon as a friend to help him through an elbow injury as a big forehand thrower, but number two, being able to sit and watch Simon learn how to be the best disc golfer, not just the best thrower, uh, is going to propel him to be a better player quicker than Simon came around to that realization.
Right.
So it is not a bad pick at all.
Yeah. No, that's my pick.
FPO.
Yes.
FPO MVP. This is a really hard one for me, comparatively to literally every other award, because I think there's two answers, and it's Kristen Tatar or Paige Pierce. Kristen Tatar is a very safe pick. I think she's definitely the person that you could say that she's going to come out and she's going to do what she needs to do, and she's going to be available to be that player. The question is not with her, but with Paige, and whether Paige comes out this season with that killer instinct that she talked about she was lacking through a lot of last season. Is there something that's going to kick for her this offseason that tells her, I want to be that player again? If there is, then she can win it. If it didn't kick in this offseason, then I think Kristen Tatar goes pretty much uh, uncontested.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with someone else who has that killer instinct.
I think her name starts with a V.
It does. I'm going with Valerie Mondahano. Um, I just honestly feel like making the move this season benefits her so drastically. Um, and I think we see it early, and I think we see it. I truly do. Like, this is just my prediction, but I truly feel like we see this early, and it continue on. Kristen was my surefire pick, uh, but it was too easy, so I'm going with Val.
So my contention with Val is that she has to do against Kristen, against the possibility of Paige being a killer instinct player again, against the possibility of Haley King really, stepping into the season and you know, not having any distractions like she did last year. And a couple other players that I'm not going to rattle off every player. Then she has to, against all of those players, do essentially what Ricky did last year, which is you're going to miss a couple of events because of the injury. That means you are already severely behind on learning your bag after a bag switch, which puts her even farther behind where Ricky was at the beginning of last season. And then you have to recover from that, relearn all of your discs again for the second year in a row, and then be competitive again. And she's good enough to do it, but I just don't know if there's enough time.
I think so. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm sticking with it for sure.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. I don't personally, in my opinion, I don't think that there's going to be enough time. Because I would say you're going to look at four events to get her bag underneath her and comfortable, and that is four events post return from injury. And
What
I don't
injury
know
does
that
she have?
she had a complete rupture of the ligament in her ankle.
Hmm.
So it's not a 2 week injury. That is 6 weeks in a boot.
Yeah.
So I think she's still registered for Waco, but I know she's missing LVC for sure, for sure.
Right. She's still registered, but
So I just don't know. And
hmm.
I got to be honest. I'm on the Twitter for anybody who's ever wondering. Um, yours truly, Daniel over here, does 99.9% of the work on the Twitter, and across from me, Ethan does 99.9% of the work on Instagram, which is really 100% minus maybe one time that I ask him to post something on my behalf throughout the year.
Right.
Um, so she's a lot more active on Instagram than she is on any other social. So you would see more about her than I do personally.
Hmm.
So my information could be a little outdated in terms of her recovery process. But the last that I heard, she was the interview most recently that I saw come through on Twitter, which was like in the last 7 days, was how are you feeling about this upcoming season? And she just said, I just want to throw, which means she's not even throwing yet.
Right. We shall see. So, how many players are in
Johnny.
new bags this season? Vegas is going to be interesting. The
So,
this is what I
if you
went
want
through
to,
last year or last
but
season.
before we get anywhere, shameless plug here, Johnny. If you want the more in depth version of that, check out our episode last week. We literally recapped every switch or move of the entire offseason in the episode last week, which of course we didn't do live because, you know, technology fought us, but it is available on Spotify, Instagram, and here on YouTube as a recorded version.
Absolutely. Now, what I will say is there are many much players that are
So
in
many.
new bags, and um, especially when it comes to like Waco,
Yes.
because of how he done um, at the previous tournament there. Um,
I'm gonna make a bold statement. Um, I would say expect uh 3 Lone Star players top 10 at Waco this year.
I like it. I like it.
I think that might be a little bit of a hot take, but
Johnny said, I listened to it
you're
already.
talking
You're the
you're talking about
best,
I know.
Johnny. You know that?
You're a top tier 1000 rated listener. um yeah, I think that's a pretty hot take, but for some context, number 1, Lone Star is based out of Conroe. A lot of those players hang out in that area a lot
Mm-hmm.
this time of year. They're doing tournaments all over. They will have spent more time with their new bags in Waco than any other players leading into Waco,
Yep.
and that could make a huge difference.
I agree. I agree. I I'm I'm with it. So um here
Just a little moment of
one
hums and
yeah
silence while
one player
Ethan looks at
that
his
I
phone.
did want to talk about a little bit. Um there's a couple that I just want to run by you, MPO wise.
Sure.
Um and tell me what your predictions player wise is. Okay? And that is Adam Hammis, Isaac Robinson, and where did he go? Um, oh, I lost him. Oh well. Um, yeah, we'll go with those two.
Uh,
Isaac Robinson and Adam Hammis.
what about Brody
Um,
Smith? You want to talk about Brody too?
yeah, we talked about Brody too. Sure.
So Isaac finished 12th in the DGPT rankings,
Mhm.
the tour ranking, excuse me. Um, tied for 12th. No, excuse me, that's for this season. I hate how they have all these. 15th is what he placed, solo 15th in the Pro Tour last year. And that included a majority of the tour. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if we're going to talk just points, expect him to, at the very least, move up closer to the top 10, if not in the top 10, purely based on the fact that this is essentially his second full tour.
Right.
So he got that full tour under his belt. He struggled mightily for quite a few events up until Idlewild. And even still, he went to some of his more like his first timer events, the first time he had been at a couple of those events and struggled. I don't expect him to struggle quite as bad at some of those locations like he did. I think he's going to be a little bit better prepared. So I am essentially guaranteeing that in terms of point standings, he will increase his ranking.
Increase. And with
Yes.
Adam.
Adam, I'm going to call an increase as well. I don't think
Okay.
that there's the thing about Adam is he played so poorly in general last year compared to what he's capable of that I don't know that I see him falling any lower
Right.
than what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that. But no, I was curious. Um,
So quickly, if you were wondering,
The reason I want that because of fantasy disc golf.
Yeah,
I just wanted some
fair.
opinions.
So Hamas finished 17th in his tour ranking last year. Now, keep in mind that included Waco, 77th. That is non-cash. Okay, Texas State, 50th. Champions Cup, 88th.
Yeah.
I mean, he cleaned it up a little bit later in the season, but he also hit another really rough patch towards the back leg. Ledgestone and Des Moines and Worlds consecutively went 65, 44, and 41st, and then 50th at MVP. I don't see a world where he doesn't improve those events.
Right. No,
I
I
just
I think so too. Um yeah, I agree. So, um now you want to go ahead and get into the schedule preview for the events?
Hey, you want to talk about Brody for a second?
Oh,
I'm just
see, I
interested.
forgot
I'm
about that.
so
Yep.
interested
Yeah.
in Brody. Um, Brody finished 27th in tour ranking last year, and he was pretty all over the place.
He definitely had
83rd,
his events that he shined at.
yeah, 83rd at Waco. A lot of 30th places in and out. I'm not going to call all of those out. Um, 51st at Champions Cup. A lot more 30s. 80th at Preserve. 44th at Ida Wilds. Um, Now Great Lakes Open, he went ninth. That's a tough track out there. But 53rd at Ledgestone, 83rd at Des Moines, and 41st at Worlds.
Did you skip
Uh,
DDO?
yeah, it was one of his 30s, I
Really?
believe.
I thought he placed third.
No, yes, you're right. He was third.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking more for his bad events to see where he could improve.
Right.
So here's the thing: is he has a lot of places he can easily improve.
Yeah.
And for anybody who has been keeping up with Brody this offseason, he has gone out there and shed 20 or 30 pounds of non-use body weight and probably tacked on a solid amount of muscle. Um, and from what I've heard, including a tweet directly back at me when I asked how his body was feeling the first couple of times he went out to throw this year, his back is not hurting this season, which he was really excited about. And I know he struggled a lot with his knees last year as well. I
Yeah.
don't expect him to struggle with those knees quite as often this season. Um, I think you might see him jump up considerably into maybe even the top 20 in points rankings.
I would say he's in top 20 for sure. After this year, I agree. Um, he's consistently gotten better. He's just out to prove people wrong and to prove himself right. That's a recipe for success if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, yeah, power to you, Brody.
Power to you. All right, let's talk about the schedule. The sketty, bro.
All right. Well, coming up, February 17th through the 19th, we get our All Star event. Um, Next week, we'll go into more details about that. But
Yeah.
um,
That one's I mean that's a niche event. Um
yeah, but it was
this is one
fun
of
for
those
us
events
last year, truly,
a
to
lot
to
a
kind
lot
of
more
pick.
yeah, a lot more fun last year than it was the year before, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure, for
Just to
sure.
watch in general. Um, I mean, come on, who out there is not hoping for another wild 500-foot skip ace again
Right?
this year? Come on, if it doesn't happen, I'll just be disappointed at this point.
Yeah. Nico.
Nico set the bar high out there on
Yeah, he
that.
did. An eagle with the under the limb throw in to Ty Calvin. I mean,
That was wild.
a lot of stuff, really competitive stuff, happened at All
Yeah,
Stars last year, and it was fun to watch. So if you hadn't watched it, definitely tune in this time. Um, so moving on into like the so-called regular season, um, we got our first event. That's February 23rd through the 26th at the Wild Horse, or at least one of the courses at Las Vegas Challenge. Um, it's one of my least favorites, but it's also one of my most exciting ones. So
Yeah, so hands down, LVC is like one of the worst events on tour. However,
the placement is
it's still one of the best events of the year simply because it's the first.
exactly
Um, and I mean, it's definitely not a bad place to kick off the season. Uh, I have not watched any of the course previews yet. I know that Innova posted all of 3 courses on the course preview on their YouTube. So if you haven't, definitely go and watch those if you're interested to see what the course looks like this year. I know there were a couple of quote unquote big changes. I don't know what that means because, like I said, I haven't watched it yet. But it's definitely that somewhat lackluster
right.
concept.
It's more on watching the players and their new bags rather than watching how the course plays and how demanding it is.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah, and it's
okay
a
for a first
really
event. It truly is.
yeah. And to be completely honest, it's a really gimmicky style
Yeah.
of play because of what they do on that golf course. For example, the Triple Island Par 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting one to just see how players are going to play, and the courses, because there's three different courses that all kind of play a little bit different. It is a really great look into everybody's new bag specifically. So
Right.
it's gonna be fun to watch at the very least.
Yeah.
Um, and then what I consider to be the true season opener. This is where the season starts to get hot and heavy. Is Waco. Excuse me. Waco is going to be March 10th through the 12th. Um, and as always, it is the annual charity open. Love that it's the biggest charity event on the tour. Um,
Absolutely.
and it is one of the most demanding courses on tour.
Mhm.
For all that it's worth, especially with those early season wins.
Yeah. Those wins are brutal. Um,
Yeah,
but I like this event
LVC.
early in the year.
Yeah, LVC gives us a good look into everybody's bag. Waco gives us a look into how comfortable everybody is with their new bag.
It's literally like night and day. It's like, okay, get out here, get your feet wet, have fun out at LVC. It's like, really kind of
It,
get in the groove, and then
it's
Waco's
a
like,
big win if you get it, but
yeah, right.
Waco is where
And
you're
then
really
Waco's like, let me put
oh.
my foot on your head and hold you underwater.
Yeah,
So,
good luck breathing.
yeah,
I hope you brought your scuba gear.
yeah. Let's see who has a snorkel and who doesn't.
Yeah, let's see. So, um, Waco, uh,
Yeah.
Waco is what Waco is.
Yep.
March 17th through the 19th, you have the Open at Austin.
Yep. Presented by Lone Star Disc.
Yeah, Lone Star actually goes back to back here, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Mhm.
Um, number one, first and foremost, it was interesting to see that they got rid of Texas State, which I am happy for, to be completely honest. Um, I always felt weird, number one, just having a state championship be an elite series.
Right.
And I think this kind of helps bring Texas State back to being Texas State and not just a tour stop.
Yeah.
Even though I believe there's still a Silver Series this year, but it brings us back to that.
Yeah.
Um, and the Open at Austin, I don't know
We
as
don't.
much about it as I wish I
I mean, we
want
don't know
to.
anything about it really yet. Um,
Um,
we will
I don't.
eventually.
Yeah, now is the Open at Austin just the Belton course and it's
I
being
don't.
renamed for its Elite Series
I don't
debut,
think so
or
because Belton is not in Austin.
well, yeah, Music City Open isn't in Nashville?
Well, yeah, but that's not
Just saying.
Music City's not a place. Like it's not like there's not an actual place in Tennessee called Music City. Like,
No, but Music City has a connotation that it means Nashville.
well, yeah,
It's like going to San Francisco and being on the Oakland side of the bay and being like, I'm in the city, and
but
everybody in San Francisco,
at least it's in the same
everybody no,
county as Nashville.
everybody everybody is going to look at you like the city's over there.
Yeah,
Like,
true, but we're not throwing
just
discs
saying.
down Broadway. Don't tempt me with a good time. Um,
I I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I
I
already said
don't
I
either.
don't.
Um, yeah, there's not a lot about it yet, so we'll get to that when we get there. Um, but then, uh, yeah, we go into the Texas states. Um,
Yeah,
Innova
I think it's.
Innova Open.
Hold on. I still I'm gonna be stuck on this. I have to know because
It shouldn't be showing, is it? Huh.
I think it has to be because it's just. I mean, to people in Texas, it's just known as the Open.
Right. I don't know. I guess we'll figure out. Honestly, I don't know. The Open at Austin. I don't know why they wouldn't just continue it to call it the Belton.
I don't know.
But
Well, because it's not called the Belton. It's just called the Open.
the Open at Belton. So this one's the Open at Austin.
I know, but they don't call it that. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you remember the yellow flags that they have all over the course, and it just says the Open. It doesn't say the Open at Belton. It just says the Open.
I mean, I don't remember those flags, honestly. But I see them on. I see the
Fair enough.
thing on the schedule. Um, yeah. Then the next weekend, March 24th through the 26th, you have the Innova Open at the 28th annual Texas States. Um, that is a Silver Series, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. It got hit with the demote button.
right. Um, and then getting the promote button, we jump states. We go from Texas out to our neck of the woods here at Tennessee. Um,
Yeah.
and that is interesting as well, actually. The Music City Open in Nashville, Tennessee, presented by Lone Star. It says it's at Mill Ridge.
It is. So actually, I wanted to. So for anybody who's been listening to us for a long time, we actually talked about how Mill Ridge was taken over by Metro. Correct.
Right.
However, Metro did not change the purpose of it. They actually have designated it to being a Metro funded public park. So it is going to continue being a park space, and they are going to continue holding it at Mill Ridge.
That's great. They can really build off of that course. That course has a lot of potential.
Yes. Interestingly enough, I actually had a couple of people kind of come at me on Twitter about that. I was talking about Music City Open a week or two ago at Twitter, and I had somebody kind of come at me like, oh, I remember, the courses when it was back as a national tour, and man, honestly, I hope they never go back to either of those courses.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, the changes they made from the national tour year at Mill Ridge to last year as a Silver Series were outstanding, and that was before the
Yeah.
support of the Pro Tour being
Right.
added onto it. Um, and for us having been there, we actually had the opportunity to kind of see how everything was being run. And in my opinion, Jeff Spring, the staff, and the tournament directors out there, they took everything extremely seriously, including the player complaints, um, what needs to change, what doesn't need to change. Not saying that everything a player suggested is going to change, but Jeff Spring was definitely taking all of those notes very seriously last year. So I fully expect them to grow on last year and not go backwards. It's going to
Right.
be a good course this year.
Yeah,
I'm
I
I'm
agree.
pretty
And
pretty certain.
I can't wait to be out there. Um, let's see here. And then moving on, the next weekend will be the Blue Ridge Championship, presented by Innova. It is in Marion, North Carolina. North Cove Disc Golf, the Gorge.
Yeah,
Um,
I
now, as far as the Gorge, I've seen several YouTube videos where people are playing at the Gorge. So I know a little bit
Right.
about the course, and it looks like a very, very awesome course. So I'm excited to see that one. Um, and then that leads you into our first major of the year, the Champions Cup, presented by Bushnell in Appling, Georgia, at the IDGC WR Jackson Memorial. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so I would love for us to somehow have been able to make it out to Champions Cup,
Yeah.
but literally, it's on the due date of when my baby will be here. At least supposedly.
Honestly, I mean, right now, both of us are planning at being at MCO, and there's a little bit of like a we just hope
Yeah,
that party doesn't get
yeah,
spoiled too quickly.
yeah. I mean, there's some potentials here. Um,
So,
but yeah, for the listeners of the podcast that do not know yet, my wife is expecting. So we are expecting to have a little girl in late April. April 23rd is the due date as of right now. We uh we get an updated due date on Thursday, so we shall see.
all right.
Yeah. Um then you want to take it on from the Champions Cup a little ways on to the
Yeah, we'll
next?
go for a little while. All right. So, from Champions Cup, they will be no breaks. They're going straight over to the Jonesboro Open. That is going to be April 28th through the 30th. That is going to be a 3-day event at the Disc Side of Heaven, of course. Because why would Jonesboro ever move?
Right.
Come on. Um, that's gonna be a really fun one. That's Champions Cup is going to be what everybody is really looking forward to at the beginning of the season.
Mhm.
Um, and Jonesboro is definitely going to be something special to watch. It always feels like some players that especially had maybe subpar weeks at Champions Cup
Kind of
kind of
their
come out firing.
retaliation. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we saw it out of Calvin and Paul in particular, where Calvin did not have the final round at Champions Cup he wanted. Paul had the final round that he wanted, but he did not have the tournament he wanted at Champions Cup, and both of them took it out on the Jonesboro course.
Yep.
So, you know, that
That.
is extremely exciting. Our first European entry on the tour points available events at the Copenhagen Open. That is May 5th through the 7th. That is going to be in Copenhagen, Denmark. Obviously, we don't know a whole lot about that one. It is sponsored by Prodigy. And of course, I mean, it's live disc golf. Who could be mad about that?
Right.
Um, I couldn't tell you much about who's actually registered for that event. Uh, and if there are too many notable names, I'm sure there's going to be some. Um, but UDisc is loading everything extremely slow right now, so
There
I
is
don't
no
even know that
list.
they've
Yeah, there
opened
is no list for
registration for that one
Copenhagen.
yet.
Yep.
All right, moving on. May, and that's actually interestingly enough in terms of tour, that's going to be a solo. So that'll be the only event broadcasting that weekend. So we won't even have to necessarily fight between two events to
Right.
watch a European tour event. So that's pretty cool. Uh, Coming up May 12th through the 14th is going to be a 3-day tournament at OTB Open, sponsored by MVP yet again, and that's in Stockton, California. I do believe they are staying at their same venue, which is really exciting because the growth between 21 and 22 showed exponential
Yeah.
improvements on that course. And so I'm really hoping that they can even improve on that a little bit more.
Yeah. It was one of the funner courses to watch last year. Um.
Yes. Yeah, for something that was like a temporary course built, that was one of the better ones
Yep. I
that we
agree.
really saw.
Um.
Chat's asking if we're going to be hanging around MCO AM's party. I won't be because AMS is going to be a different week than pros. So I'm
Um. Maybe.
probably not going to be around. Um, I'll be back on my side of the state by then. Uh, Coming up after OTB, they head up north on the west coast up to the Beaver State Fling. That is going to be in Estacada, Oregon,
At
May 19th through the
Milo
21st.
McIver.
Good old Milo McIver. There were some questions weren't whether that course was actually going to be playable this year
Right.
because of some fires that they had. So I'm excited to see that they're confident in continuing to hold that event there. And that, as of right now, there are no issues with that. So
Right.
that should be good. Also, on the 19th through the 21st, the Belgian Open is going to be held in Belgium.
Yeah,
So
I
that'll
was
be,
gonna see if you was gonna try to say that first. Actually, like where it's at in Belgium.
yeah, no. Good
Yeah,
luck
no,
with that.
I'm out. It is like brain aluid.
Good try.
Yeah.
Applaud. Pat yourself on the back for the attempt.
Oh, I'm sore.
Oh, so sore. That'll be on the same weekend as Beaver State, so that'll be a double up. I don't think they've really announced how they're going to do live coverage for silver events this year, however. So, uh, if live coverage is just going to be final rounds again, like they were last year, I'm assuming that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
I think so. All right, moving on. Silver Series, May 26th through 28th is the Cascade Challenge, and that's going to be in Washington State. There is no more information besides that,
That is
so
it.
that is what we got to go off of. That'll be another Silver Series event. Um, and then Helsinki in Finland. That is going to be also that same weekend, the 26th through the 28th, 3-day tournament. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of that course. Good luck.
Uh,
It's just not happening tonight, guys.
in Helsinki, it is Tallinn Frisbee Golf Puisto.
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 Yeah, yeah. Good luck.
All you gotta do is tell me please stop. It's fine.
Please stop.
Yeah.
All right, June 1st through the 4th, Portland Open. That is going to be at, what is it? I know it's Glenvere.
Glendoveer.
What is it? I never remember the second course. But no, no. What are you doing? Why? What? Hi. Um,
It just
venues haven't
says,
changed for that
yeah,
one,
it just says
so
one
that's
other,
gonna.
so.
Yeah, I just don't remember the name of that course off the top of my head. And that will be along on the same weekend as the Estonian Open, which is at Korvma.
Yep. Korvma, Estonia, and
At,
Korvma
at
Disc Golf Park.
Discgolfi Park.
Golfy Park. Oh, that
Discgolfi
sounds.
Park.
See, I feel like that's Russianish. Discolfy.
Uh, I mean,
Maybe?
it's,
I don't know.
it's Northern European and Western Russian probably aren't as different as you would think they are.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It is what it is. Um, on the 9th through the 11th, you're going to have the Pro Forester. That's going to be in Croatia. And along that same time, we have a Silver Series event, the Zootown Open, and that's going to be in Missoula, Montana at Blue Mountain Course.
Missoula. I
Missoula.
know I'd seen a lot of posts about the Zootown Open saying that there was a lot of people really, really vying for uh, the Blue Mountain course to be on tour. So this is their
Yes.
chance. And by the picture, it looks beautiful. So
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And if anybody's wondering what we're doing right now, we are using the UDisc list of tour events, and any event that has the actual course posted, you can go onto that event page and click on the course, and the UDisc will pull up the course just like as if you were looking at a local course on your UDisc app
yep,
or the website. Absolutely gorgeous country out there. I've been to Montana more than a handful of times, and it's beautiful out there. I've never been to this course, unfortunately, but they have an awesome opportunity to really um, show the world what they're made of.
right. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Um, and then we'll go into the same. Wow, wait. So there's three that weekend. The Nokia
Yes.
Open in Nokia, Finland, at the Korvama Disc Golf Park,
Hmm.
um, is at the same time as the Zootown Open and the Pro Forester. So, yeah, you got that too, and
Yeah,
plenty
we
of
are
choices.
kind of naming off some Euro Tour as well as European Pro Tour.
Correct.
Just so you know, those are different. Only the Euro Tour events, which we should have been better at calling out, are going to yield um, Pro Tour points, not the European Pro Tour. So Nokia Open is a European Pro Tour event. It will not yield points.
Okay. Uh, Well, continuing on with the Euro Tour, um, this is the Konopiste Open. It is June 16th through June 18th at Benesov, Czech Republic, at Konopiste. Um,
I
it,
mean, outside of going back to Sula, this is easily the coverage I'm most excited for.
yeah,
I mean, first of all, Paul's going to be there. Number one. Number two, this has been a major for
Eagle
the
won the
PDGA
major,
before.
correct? This was Eagle's major, Konopiste.
Yes. Yeah, I do believe so.
Okay,
And I believe Simon has won it when it was a major as well, but don't quote me to that.
potentially. Okay,
Anyway, so that is going to be the 16th through the 18th, which is going to fall in line with the Dynamic Discs Open, which will also be the 16th through the 18th. And I have to say,
I already know you're gonna watch Konopiste.
if I have to choose one, it's going to be the Konopise.
Yeah,
Um, and honestly, I of all of the events we're going to see this year, the ones that I want to see the numbers of watch time, viewership. If there were two events I wanted to see the viewership numbers on, it's these two because I want to see for people who aren't like me who are just going to watch everything because it's available. What do the numbers really look like? Are people going to watch Kinopiste over Dynamic Discs Open because Emporia gets unlimited hate
yes,
on Twitter, and I know on a lot of other social platforms in the disc golf community. Uh, Now the players really love Emporia for the culture,
yeah,
um, but players do have their complaints about the courses as well. Interestingly enough, I know that those are well documented. But it is one of the best like events in terms of the culture that surrounds it, the events that they do, the block parties, this, that, and the other. It is a really great event. But I have to say, I'm excited. Number one, that it's only a 3-day event this year, um, because I don't know about you, but were you Emporiaed out by the end of last year
oh yeah,
after DDO, which wasn't it 4 days last year, and then on top of it there was a 5-day Worlds.
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
was
I was
Emporiaed out last year.
imported out. Um, okay. So then, same. Let's see here. I don't know what PDPT is. Um, I'm skipping that.
So
Um,
to the Crocol Open,
yes. No, no, no. The Aulu.
yes, we're moving to the Crocol Open.
Yeah. Yeah. Going on to the Krokol Open. It is in Krokol, Norway, and it
Had
is
a lot of trouble getting Norway out.
yeah, Norway. June 23rd
Norway.
through the 25th. Um, about all it has on here. And then we go into the same weekend with Des Moines Challenge, uh, presented by Discraft. It's at Pickard Park, just like last year. Des Moines Challenge is always a fun one to watch. Uh, then
Yes, I really hope they make some improvements this year because they let out a really solid pro tour level event last year with some questionable holes, i.e., hole 3.
right,
Um, and I think that that could be a really fun one.
yeah,
Eh,
for sure. Um, yeah, I agree. I remember the FPO layout was not very good for Des Moines last year. Um,
yeah,
so hopefully
that's
they
a
get
debate for
that.
another day.
Yeah, they get that changed up. Um, then the next weekend, um, we have on the Euro Tour the Swedish Open in Borås, Sweden. I'm not saying that word. Um, Emir Gardens. It sounded like I
Are you
said
gonna be
something backwards.
Imero Gardens
Yeah.
Disc Golf Center
Um, Gold Course
Gold Course?
is the same the same weekend as the Preserve Championship designed by Leviska Disc Golf. Um, that
Oh
is at
yeah,
the Airborne Disc Golf Preserve Black Bear course.
yes.
Um, that one's always a great course. Kale always has that thing in top tier shape. Uh, and that is also the same weekend as the European Pro Tour teeny. Is it tiny or teeny?
I'm gonna go with tiny, just because it sounds
Sounds better.
cooler.
All right, the
The Tiny
Tiny
Open.
Open in
That one
Sippo,
will obviously
Finland.
not be filmed, but that
Yeah,
one's gonna be in Sipu, Finland.
and then moving on, another Euro Tour stop, July 7th through the 9th, is the Skellefteå Open, and that's the same weekend as the KC Wide Open in Kansas City, Missouri. Now, this one
Silver
is
Series.
a Silver Series that's new as well, and I haven't heard anything about it, but it's being played at Bad Rock Creek, and the imagery looks like it's a wooded course, potentially, at least off of the first hole.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for the KC Wide Open. It's going to get the short end of the stick in the schedule, specifically, which is it's really tough because by design the Silver Series are kind of like your testing grounds for what could be potential Elite Series going forward.
Right.
And I'm sure people are going to play it. There's going to be a lot of players out there, but you're going to miss a lot of names because the very next weekend is going to be the PCS Open, which is Sula,
Yes.
which is an elite series this year. So it's going to draw more names than it did last year, which means more skippage on KC White Open being the week before as people, number one, take a break, number two, fly out to Europe, get comfortable, get ready to play. So I kind of feel bad for it, but I do hope it has a very good showing.
Yeah, I do as well. If you want to start out, keep going with PCS Open.
PCS Open presented by Innova. This is going to be July 13th through the 15th back in Norway. Um, it's going to be very similar to what we saw last year, and it's just going to be a little bit of a higher profile this year. Um, Honestly, top three most excited for events on the schedule this year for me. Because number one, it's an elite series this year, and number two, because of number one, we're going to see more big names.
Right.
So that's I don't have to say much more about that. It's pretty exciting. There's also going to be the Turku Open. That's going to be in Finland. That's a Pro Tour, European Pro Tour event. So it will not be covered. President's Cup, Wednesday, July 19th. That's always an interesting one. Um, I'll be excited to watch that one. Like I was last year. I
Yeah.
was really excited to get that for live coverage. And then the European Open, which is your next major on the list. That is going to be July 20th through the 23rd. That's going to be a 4-day event. Nokia, Finland, of course, at the fabled Nokia Disc Golf Park. The Beast. Uh, what else do we need to say about that?
Right.
Come on. Coming back stateside, this is going to be another one that is probably going to see a little bit of that same effect that you're going to see at KC White Open. But the Mid America Open is going to be July 28th through the 30th. This is going to be in Columbia at Harmony Events. That's
Harmony
a pretty
Bins.
fabled course itself.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to say too much about that one either. Finnish Nationals. That's probably going to be fun. I don't think that one's going to have coverage for us,
No.
but that should be a pretty good one for some people to watch. That's going to be August 3rd through the 6th. Also, on the 3rd through the 6th, we're going to see Ledgestone. That is
Iglo.
going to be a 4-day event. What?
What?
Ledgestone.
Oh, my bad.
Ledgestone, Peoria, Illinois, at
I
the
got
Eureka
excited.
Temp. It's gonna it's gonna be at 3 courses. It's gonna be 2 courses per side. So 2 courses MPO and then 2 courses at FBO, 3 courses total, if I remember Peoria correctly. Right?
Yes.
I'm right about that? Okay. I'll let you take it for a little while now, huh? My
Uh,
throat's getting tired. I need some water.
Wada. All
Hydrate
right.
or die.
And then back on the Euro Tour side, August 10th through the 12th, the Alatagusi Open in Jovi, Estonia. And on the same weekend is Idlewild, the LWS Open at Idlewild, presented by Dynamic Discs. Um, That's iconic course. You probably know about Idlewild, truly. Um, then the very next weekend, we go August 17th through the 20th, and now it's Deglow,
There you
the
go, buddy.
Discraft Great Lakes Open, and it's presented by Grip 6. Deglow is just an iconic tournament in
Yep.
general. The
The
toboggan
fabled,
is, hmm
yep, the fabled Kensington toboggan, side of none other than Paul Macbeth's perfect round.
yep, at least one of them.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It has to be the more impressive one in my mind. Side note, before we continue on, apparently my boss's boss lives 5 minutes from that course,
oh,
and he was like, "Hey, if you ever come to play that course, you can come stay with me."
there you go.
I'm like, "All right, bud, you got it."
Yeah, might just take you up on that.
Well, you shouldn't. That was a big invitation. You shouldn't have given to me.
Right. Um, and then August 25th through the 27th, we have the Sierra Viori Challenge presented by Innova on the Euro Tour in Eura, Finland. That is the same weekend as the Jim Palmery's 50th American Flying Disc Open. Um, I had heard
Is that the 50th year that they're doing it, or is that just the 50th time the event has happened and it happens more than one time a year?
that's what I wonder. I don't know because I that's a
I
good question. Um, but that's in Rochester, New York. Uh, I don't really know if I've seen any disc golf in New York that
no.
comes to mind, so that'll be exciting to see. Um, one and then we wow. So like right into it, right after that, we go right into the PDGA Pro World Championships starting on Wednesday through Sunday, August 30th through September 3rd at Jeffersonville, Vermont at Brewster Ridge Disc Golf and Fox Run, correct?
Those, yes. Yeah,
Um,
Smugs
yeah,
is as it's more affectionately known for the entire venue.
yep,
It's also worth noting here that we didn't mention it before, but Deglow is a playoff event for the Elite Series. So we do actually have the Worlds sandwiched between two playoff events, which was a little interesting, I think, in terms of scheduling.
right.
I was a bit confused by that, to be honest.
Yeah. I guess we'll see how it plays out, but
All right, Paul Uliwari.
yeah. Um, yeah, Worlds uh takes place at the beginning of September, late August, beginning of September.
Hmm.
And then the next week, we go September 8th through the 10th, and we have a Euro Tour in Anakaru, Estonia, the South Estonia Open, and we have the Discmania Open at PEI Canada, Rose Valley. Now, this is a Silver Series in Canada, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so that's going to be interesting to see as well. Um, but yeah, I'll be excited to watch that one. Um,
definitely will be interesting. And then moving forward, we have the second playoff event from the 14th through the 17th, MVP Open at Maple Hill. A lot of players obviously count that as, their favorite event of the year.
right,
It's very exciting. It's a beautiful course. Uh, Never going to be upset about that. And that same weekend, you have the Nine Hill Open that is going to be in Talsi, Latvia. And that is part of the Euro Tour. I'm not sure if that's actually on the list of Euro Tour events being covered. So it's possible we might see that on coverage. It's possible we don't. Now, interestingly enough, comparatively to last year, where you had USWDGC in the early season before the European Tour or the European Open, if I remember correctly, this year it's going to be backed up to September 21st to the 24th, and that's going to be in Burlington, North Carolina. They do not have the courses officially set for that one yet, but just so everybody is aware. So that's going to be its own little thing. And it is a little bit closer to USDGC. So I'm not sure if they really made an effort to try to close those in together, to maybe make it feel a little bit more like it is the women's US championship. But let's be honest, it's time for Rock Hill to just suck it up and put the women's disc golf championship there. I
Yeah.
know that I know why they don't do it. I just don't agree with it.
Right.
I just don't. So, following up USWDGC, you have USDGC October 5th through the 8th, along with Throw Pink. And that's going to be, of course, in Rock Hill, South Carolina at Winthrop. Um, I'll be interested to see what they changed this year. They changed a lot more last year than I really expected them to. I don't know that I thought all of them were for the better, but I
Right.
don't know that they were bad either. Um,
Right.
and then wrapping up the season, the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, October 12th through the 15th. That's in Charlotte, North Carolina. They don't have a course listed for that one yet. I'm interested to see if they are going to consider returning to Nevins or if they're going to go back to the new routes, if you will,
Right.
of Hornets Nest. Now I know Hornets Nest wasn't available due to construction issues, not that they weren't allowed to be there. It just was not available as a course to be played. Um, but I don't believe they've announced their intentions with that yet, if
Right.
I'm not mistaken.
Righto.
And that's pretty much it. If you guys are still listening at this point, first of all, I want to say thank you because that was just a massive information dump. And I
Yep.
know it was not the most interesting of information dumps. But the good news is, it's the last time we have to do that this year.
Exactly. We just we just had to get it out there that way for the
we
people that did want to hear it. They
we
could hear it.
uh we had our information dump of all the new signings last week. This week we did all of the information dumps for the entirety of the schedule. Next week we will do other stuff and kind of more fun stuff, I promise. With that being said, that's going to bring us essentially to the end of the show. First of all, if you've been with us this entire episode in the live format, thank you so much for being here. We did not broadcast this out to anybody, so we appreciate anybody who stopped in, took a listen, whatever they might have done. We appreciate you. I know that we've got some tech difficulties that we've got to figure out. The recorded side probably isn't going to feel these difficulties as much as the live side did. However, I appreciate you no matter what side you listen to, and if you listen for the entirety of this. Next week, we will be talking about uh, the All-Star event preview. We're going to preview all of that. I know that I believe they're picking teams. The captains are doing a virtual pick this Friday. I heard it was the 10th. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard.
Right.
So I fully expect us to be able to do a full All-Star preview. One of the other things we're going to do is a Tennessee Twos in the bag for the 2023 season. So I'm going to preview my bag as it currently stands heading into this year, and I believe you are as well.
Yep.
So you guys get to see what we throw, which will be a little bit fun. My bag has seen a lot of changes in the last 3 months or so.
Right.
My bag was actually pretty consistent besides one or two things moving in and out for the first 6 months of last year. Um, but I made a lot of changes in the last 6 months. So I'm pretty excited to kind of share those with you. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about is our preseason power rankings for both MPO and FPO next week. And yeah, hopefully we get a little closer to our goal of making these 90 minutes as opposed to pumping them all the way up to
2 hours.
the 120.
Yeah.
We really want to try to cut the rambling a little bit, but this time actually we were on time until we got to the schedule preview. It took a lot more time than I expected it to.
Right. Yeah. I was like, I kept scrolling and I was like, wow.
Like
Okay.
there's another one
Yeah.
and another one
There's
and
another one.
another one and another one. By the end, it was starting to get hard for me to be enthusiastic about reading these events.
Yeah.
I was like, yay, there's another one, and there's another one, and there's
I was like, I'm
another
passing the
one.
baton again.
My throat got dry. I needed to drink some water. Please take over for a couple events.
Oh well. But anyways, with that being said, we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yes, absolutely.
We will continue to prosper in YouTube. We will
I'm
try
telling you
to.
also, I'm telling you, we are definitely going to get a sidebar banner to put up on the interface so you can see every single time that we divert from the main conversation to talk
Right.
about something unrelated or just ridiculous.
Yep. That's
It's
fine.
going to happen. I don't
It's
know if
gonna
it's
fun.
next episode, but it's going to happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen. For sure. But yeah, we hope everybody has a great rest of your day, night, whenever you are listening. We appreciate all of you, and to
One
everybody,
more time, thank you for our presenting sponsor, Lone Star Disc, for being a part of what we do here.
absolutely,
Um, they help us out tremendously to keep this production going, and we're excited to continue partnering with them for the foreseeable future.
absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I could have. I stumbled over every word in that.
Yeah, but everybody knows how I am, and yeah, Johnny, you were close. You were close, but
So
you know,
close.
you know,
That's okay. You
it's
forgot to
okay.
say it at all
It's
last week, so
fine. It's fine. But here we go, everybody. Here's the outro. We will see y'all later, and we will see y'all on
on
the
the next
next
hole.
hole.
I wasn't ready.
Oh, it was perfect.